The December meeting of the Johnson City Board of Education, and welcome everyone that's here. We're glad you're here. We always start our meeting with a moment of silence. If you'll join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I know we have some students here from Woodland Elementary, and I believe one of them will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Leading our pledge tonight are three of our very distinguished Woodland Student Council team members. First, Student Council President York Walls, Vice President Benjamin Morris, and Recording Secretary Callie Athan.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, students.
Thank you, boys and girls. I'm very, very proud of you. Good evening, Dr. Barnett and distinguished board members. Once again, thank you for this annual opportunity to showcase the outstanding work of our Woodland team. our students, our teachers, our support team members, and our families. We all know this. The most important ingredients for student success are those daily connections with our students and families, coupled with our ongoing structures for academic excellence. And at Woodland and all across our Johnson City School District, we provide those supports so very well as our student and academic success rates affirm those connections. At this time, we want to extend a very special thank you to our amazing art teacher, Mrs. Jennifer Burgess, for creating our beautiful artwork display this evening. The special creations you are seeing are specific to nature and self-portraits as connected with various artists, artistic techniques, and written words. Thank you, Mrs. Burgess and Woodland students. I would like to begin tonight by sharing with you that I often reference our Woodland learning community as a beautiful blending of children, families, and team members. We, as a Woodland family, are very proud of our students, as together we enjoy celebrating our individual talents and unique gifts, while together we are learning and connecting each school day. With regard to our student enrollment, our numbers are strong. Our current total is specific to 388 students, which is an addition of 26 students versus our total enrollment at the same time last December. This total also includes our Title I pre-K classroom with Mrs. Lori Haynes, in addition to our 2 tuition-based pre-K classrooms, which are also well-staffed with 25 students. These programs are licensed for both age 4 and age 3 and age 4 students, and we love having those little ones as a part of our Woodland family. It's exciting to share with you tonight that our construction process is moving forward and very smoothly. We're very thankful for Mr. Randy Trivet and Mr. Joe Barnes as they keep us well informed and supported. As Mr. Trivet often remarks, we are definitely cracking many eggs to create beautiful omelets, and that is very true. Our next steps do include the movement of our grade 4 team into one of our new learning pods, which is often referenced as Building B, on January 3rd. In addition to the relocation of our teachers within the second grade wing, which will include a total of 8 teachers and our CDC motor room, so that the next phase of our heating and cooling ductwork process can begin in mid-January. Now, we've decided to call that our Pink Cadillac plan at Woodland. While we know that some components of our campus may be a bit complex at this point in time, we know that in the end, that being mid-July, our campus and facility will be as pristine as a pink Cadillac. In fact, if you visit our current classrooms, you may see a few teacher postcards titled and displayed as Think Pink, including a pink Cadillac graphic. We love keeping that element of fun in all that we do. We also want to extend a huge thank you to Mr. Hudson and our Cherokee colleagues for sharing their campus with us last summer. Our summer school programs and educare groups worked so well together, and we enjoyed our time together during the months of June and July. In regard to academics, we're very thankful and excited about our most recent reward school status. Our overall success rate for the 2020-21 school year yielded an increase of 6 data points, affirming our double AMO target as set by the Department of Education. This was super exciting for all of us, and we know through our careful analysis of those data points that the strength of our Woodland program is specific to literacy, a major keystone of our ongoing student success. With that shared, our data results in math were not as strong in number as compared to literacy, and as an active part of our school improvement process, we're working hard to build additional fluency and problem-solving applications for our students. In fact, this week's school-wide fact focus is central to 9 + 4 and 3 × 6. We review those facts each morning during our daily announcements and revisit those facts throughout the school day as we travel to related arts and to lunch and throughout our campus. We're also very excited to have a most recent tech connection to IXL programming and through Title I funding, Reflex Math, which will add 2 additional layers to our math content. Further, our after-school homework club is working so well and is currently specific to 60 students. We have a wonderful director, Miss Amanda Farmer, and several support team members who assist Miss Amanda each day, in addition to 7 of our very talented teachers who are providing additional tutoring through ESSER funding. In addition to our excellent academic program, we have enjoyed celebrating our Kindness Matters campaign, which began last school year as a vision of our Woodland Diversity team. And that campaign is continuing this school year as well. We most recently completed a school-wide service project titled Kids Against Hunger in tandem with our Woodland PTA. In addition to celebrating World Kindness Day through the creation of classroom projects centered upon the kindness elements that we must convey at school and throughout our community. Moreover, we continue to integrate the components of our 7 habits in student leadership through all that we do at Woodland. Our students are invited to serve as morning announcers, library assistants, student ambassadors, and members of our kindness crew. Our daily quest for being proactive, putting first things first, and synergizing with one another through a personal best attitude are constants within our Woodland classrooms. And with that shared, we have a very brief video clip to share with you tonight. This clip features Dr. Presley's 3rd grade class under the direction of our amazing music teacher, Mrs. Laura Evans. Dr. Presley's class will be singing one of our favorite school-wide songs, which celebrates the true meaning of our 7 habits for student success. The song is called The Leader in Me. We hope you enjoy it.
We are the future leaders, that's what they say. But when we wait for the future, we'll be too late. We are ready tomorrow, our time is now. And with the 7 habits, we'll show you how. Gotta be proactive. Here's the end in mind. But first things first. Think when, every time. See first, understand, then be understood. Synergize with your friends, 'cause it's always better to work together. Sharpen the saw, be the best team, so you can see the leader and me. The leader and me. I should lead myself, I should lead my friends, I would do anything. There's the leader and me. There's the leader and me. The 7 habits help me see. There's a leader in me. There's a leader in me. There is no need. The
We thought you might enjoy that. So in closing, I want to say thank you for all that you do for us through your ongoing encouragement, planning, and support funding. Your provision of funding for our academic coaches, our technology teacher leaders, our RTIB programming, our nursing support team, our Frontier Health team, and our outstanding school resource officers is beyond measure. Each of those very talented individuals provides such tremendous and ongoing support for everyone at Woodland and all across the district. In addition, the great work of our Woodland PTA is so appreciated and is an ongoing support and encouragement for all of us. Further, the ongoing support of Dr. Barnett and our district team and our fellow principals is beyond measure. I think Mrs. McGill said it very well in the fall. We truly care about one another and we support one another, and being part of Johnson City Schools is a tremendous honor for all of us. Thank you again, and please know that we wish for you a very healthy and merry holiday season, and you're always welcome to visit us at Woodland. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reach. Are there any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is recognitions.
Thank you and good evening. We have three really important recognitions for this evening. We want to begin by recognizing Pete Peterson, City Manager for Johnson City. Mr. Peterson assumed the position of City Manager permanently in 2005. As City Manager, Mr. Peterson has been instrumental in the new construction that took place at Science Hill High School and Kermit Tipton Stadium, the renovations at Liberty Bell Middle School, and construction of a new Fairmont Elementary School. Current improvements include additional classroom space at Lake Ridge Elementary, Southside Elementary, and Woodland Elementary. Throughout his tenure, Mr. Peterson has advocated for outstanding facilities for the students, staff, and families of Johnson City. At this time, we'd like to recognize Mr. Peterson for his contributions to Johnson City Schools.
As he's coming up, I'd like to say just a couple words. When Pete Peterson started as city manager, we had a really great school system, and it's gone nowhere but up since then. That's because we have a great team in this city. Our commissioners, our school board, our city manager, and our superintendent all work together to do what's best for students. And I just want to say how much we as a board appreciate all that you've done for our schools. Thank you, Pete.
Well, I would certainly like to say thank you for this recognition. And I guess this is the first of a couple of these coming up, and this really feels kind of weird, doesn't it, Tom? I mean, it's I've done this for the last 31 years, and I think we've really been blessed to work alongside and serve with a great team of people, teachers, support staff, folks at City Hall that we work with, school board members, city commissioners. You know, we've had our ups and downs with funding. We've had our challenges with space needs. We have been through multiple discussions about curriculum through the years, but everybody was able to sit down and talk through it and figure out what is in the long-term best interest of the majority of the people that we serve. And that's the reason we've got such a great community. You know, I really can't stand here and take credit for a whole lot of things. I was just fortunate enough to be in the right spot at the right time, and have had the pleasure of working with this board and with my boards, and we've accomplished great things. I think something that the whole community can be proud of, and we've got school facilities that are going to last us for generations to come. You know, we were talking about the things we had done in the last 15, 16 years. But, you know, looking back over my 31 years, I think one of the most significant accomplishments of the whole city was when in the early 90s, and I was at that point in time just walking into the assistant's position, we put together the People's Education Plan. We have a funding source dedicated for school construction and renovations and maintenance that's going to go on forever. And if you think about it right now, what a great shape we are with facilities. I think the oldest roof we've got is 8 years old, Randy? You know, I mean, we're in great shape. We've got money to meet our needs going forward. And, you know, we're going to be blessed with further actions of this board and staff members. It's been a really great time working with staff y'all have. It started out as a working relationship, friendships. Now a lot of you are principals and teachers for my children, so I get to experience education from a different perspective now. So thank you very much. It's been a real joy and a privilege. And we've worked with I have had the privilege of working with some good superintendents, and not just because he's standing here, but Steve is extraordinary. He comes to the table prepared. He comes to the table willing to work together. And I really encourage y'all, treat him good because you've got a good one. Keep him for a while. Thank you.
Here we go, look right here. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Thanks, guys. Yes, sir. Give me the first year, I'll be there. I've already talked to Eldon about we're working on CDA. Okay.
Congratulations. You do the same. Next, we'd like to recognize Riley Tharp, 6th grade student at Indian Trail Intermediate School. Riley recently submitted the winning design for the Johnson City Schools holiday card. Congratulations, Riley. Come on up, please.
I'm gonna post the picture and then the card. Yeah, get it right. Come on. Oh, y'all want to-
Sorry, I thought you meant us.
Yeah, family. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Finally, we'd like to recognize the Woodland Elementary PTA Board. This outstanding group of parents and community members provide ongoing service and support for the students, teachers, support staff, and families of Woodland Elementary, and they're greatly appreciated. Ms. Jennifer Carter, Woodland PTA President, is here to accept the recognition on behalf of their organization. If you could come up, please. Okay. Do you want to come up for?
All right, we'll do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Is that bug still in there? That brings us to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to our agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second. All right. All those in favor say yes. Any opposed? We have no one under correspondence, delegations, and communications that has signed up to address us tonight. So that brings us to election of board officers. I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Barnett.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall. Do I have any nominations? First thing we do is elect the board chair. Do you have any nominations for Johnson City School Board Chair?
I'd like to nominate Kathy Hall, if willing to serve.
I am willing to serve. Thank you, Mr. Hager.
Any other nominate? Oh, go ahead.
Can you second that?
You can.
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, no other nominations. This is a roll call vote. Miranda, if you'll call the roll.
Mr. Robert Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Ginger Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Herb Greenlee,
Yes.
Mr. Tom Hager,
Yes.
Ms. Kathy Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Beth Simpson,
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Treese,
Yes.
unanimous.
Congratulations and thank you for serving. I'll turn the meeting back over to Mrs. Hall.
I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your support in that. Thank you. That brings us to nominations for vice chair.
Like to nominate Mr. Robert Williams, if he's so inclined.
Thank you. I'd be willing to serve.
I'll second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Robert Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Ginger Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Herb Greenlee,
Yes.
Mr. Tom Hager,
Yes.
Ms. Kathy Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Beth Simpson,
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Treese,
Yes.
unanimous.
Okay, that brings us to board secretary. Are there any nominations for board secretary?
Like to nominate Miss Michelle Treese, if she's willing to serve.
All right. Are there any other nominations? We'll do a roll call vote once more.
Mr. Robert Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Ginger Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Herb Greenlee,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas Hager,
Yes.
Ms. Kathy Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Beth Simpson,
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Treese,
Yes.
unanimous.
All right. That not a lot of changes. And because she's board secretary again, Ms. Michelle Treese gets to read our ethics contract. So every year we read this Johnson City Board of Education ethics contract and we all sign it. I'm going to pass this down to Michelle. She'll read it into the record and then we'll pass it around to be signed.
Johnson City Board of Education Ethics Contract, December 6, 2021. As members of the Johnson City Board of Education, we commit ourselves collectively and individually to uphold the following contract, which is to be renewed after each Board of Education election of officers. To abide by the Code of Ethics of the Tennessee School Board Association. To strive sincerely to build better relationships with one another and with the superintendent of schools. To vote on individual convictions and to do what we can to prevent or destroy fractionalism on the board, to refuse to become involved in micromanagement, to emphasize planning, policymaking, and public relations rather than becoming involved in management of the schools, to prepare ourselves carefully before each board meeting so that when we have the floor, we can make comments that are concise, organized, and clear, to listen carefully and with courtesy when other people have the floor and are speaking during board meetings, to set clear goals for the superintendent of schools, to support the superintendent of schools and to help him be as efficient as possible as long as he is a superintendent, to establish goals for our school district and to make sure the community is aware of those goals. If any board member feels that another board member has violated any provision in this agreement, that board member shall personally talk with the offending board member in an attempt to resolve the issue. If the attempt fails, the board member who feels that another board member has violated this agreement shall bring the matter to the attention of the entire board. Any grievances that arise shall be dealt with at the earliest possible practical opportunity.
Thank you. If you can start that with Mr. Hager, and we'll sign it and pass it down. And I believe Dr. Carter has something she wants to say.
Yes. I also, at the Tennessee School Board Association, discovered that they had something that I could file, since I could at times have a personal interest, since my husband's employed with Johnson City Schools. It is too long, I think, to read, but anyone is welcome to, and it will be filed here at the central office to disclose that relationship that I have. And I will continue to try to remain conscientious with any voting that I would need to disclose that at that time as well.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. So that'll be on record at the office. I appreciate that. Now we have information from our Washington County Election Commission. We've had some changes that'll be coming forward for our elections, most likely. So Dana Jones is here to let us know what those changes are.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you for this opportunity. On Friday, November the 11th, 2021, Governor Lee signed legislation allowing school boards races to become partisan if the county political party decides to run school board members on their ballot. I have received a letter from the Executive Washington County Republican Committee requesting that school board races be on their ballot for 2022. Democrats have until the 10th to notify me how they want to run their candidates. This information I'm sharing with you tonight is correct as of this moment. There's a little bit of gray out here. When it comes up, I'll let you know. But as of right now, to run for office, you need to pick up your petition starting February 7th. That's much different from the old June 20th date. That's why we're here, because we don't want anybody to miss that opportunity. You have to have it back to our office by April 7th at noon. And then you will be placed on the August ballot. And then the top winners in that race advance on to the November ballot. Do we have any questions? Okay. And I gave everybody one of these at your desk, so you have it.
I do have a question. So after that primary would be completed,
Yes, ma'am.
would the candidates that may not end up as the top in that primary be able to run as an independent after that?
No, ma'am, you may not.
Can you get close to the microphone?
Sorry. If you lose the election in the primary and you're running as a Republican or you're running as a Democrat and you lose, then their bylaws both say that you cannot pick up an independent candidate and go out and re-challenge.
And then also, how many candidates then would the primary determine per party?
Up to the number of seats that are
Okay.
open. Only the number of seats that are open. And then you face off against each other. And of course, the independents are thrown in there too.
Okay, I've got another question.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, and I'm not even running this time, but it is a big change.
It is.
And I have some concerns about the change, but it is what it is. The limits for spending in the campaign that you have to, has any of that changed for the candidate?
No, ma'am, they have not.
So that would be the same.
As of this day, they have not.
I understand.
Mr. Hager.
Johnson City is in 3 counties. If you run, what do you have to do to be qualified in the other 3 counties?
I'm very glad you asked that question. You just come see me because you live in my county, correct? So you come see me, you file your papers. I actually make the ballot up for the part of Sullivan County we go into and the part of Carter County we go into, and I get it to their AOEs, which is what I am, an administrator of elections in their respective counties.
Okay. You're probably aware of this. I understand there's a $40 fee for a school board member in Johnson City to be on the ballot as a Republican. I just want it stated, I'm no way asking that this school board be compensated. We receive no money to serve, but yet we're being asked by a party to turn over $40 to be on their ballot. To me personally, that doesn't seem right. And then I guess the question I would have, if you run, can you use your campaign funds to pay for that $40? Or does this have to come out of your pocket?
That's a very good question, and I wish I had a direct answer for you, and I will find it out for you. That is something new that the Republican Party is doing in our neck of the woods. The election office has nothing to do with
I
that.
understand.
We don't take the money. We don't charge you. You're going to deal with all that with the Republican Party. And I didn't even know what the fee was. So thank you for sharing that with me. You were the first person that asked if you can pay for that out of campaign funds. Let me find out for you, Mr. Hager, and if it's okay, I will get back to you tomorrow and let you know if you can or if you cannot.
Yes, ma'am. As you can tell by my hair or lack thereof, I've been in a few campaigns. I don't know about other board members. It's difficult for us, or I shouldn't say us, it's difficult for me to approach people to pay for my campaign to be a candidate for Johnson City Schools. I have received some money in the past. It has not been a great amount of money. The way I understand it now, and please correct me, I would have, if I decide to run, I would have to campaign all summer. And if I was the lucky one to move on to November, then I'm gonna have to campaign again. And I'm just personally speaking. I think that's asking an awful lot for somebody who wants to be on the school board. Other offices I can see, but to be on the Johnson City School Board, I really have a problem with that. And maybe no one else does, but just me personally. I have a problem asking us to pay to be on the ballot, one, and then we're going to have to do 2 campaigns on limited funding. And I know if you don't put something out there, people, well, he or she may not be interested. I don't see anything out there for Joe Blow. And I just have an issue, I guess. And I know you don't have anything, you're the messenger. So please excuse me, but I don't know anybody else to raise these issues with. And nothing can be done, I understand that, but those are some issues that just kind of bother me personally. And I just want you to be aware.
I am so glad that you shared that out here in public. I really am. And I hear you. And you're absolutely correct. I'm the person who runs elections based on the rules and regs given to us by the state. So I'm so sorry I can't do anything about that. If I could, I would. I assure you I would.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And I agree. I don't think that municipal elections should be partisan. I think one of the strengths of this board is our diversity. We have different viewpoints, we have different voices, all of which need to be heard. And we do a good job of that. We listen to each other. We make the best decision for our children and our system. And that's the thing that concerns me, because our diversity is our strength on this board.
I agree. Ms. Trees.
I have comments as well, but a couple of questions.
Yes.
So It's obvious. I'm surely not a Republican. You can look at my hair and tell that. But is there something, have you heard of anything like that with the Democratic Party or independents of having to pay?
No, ma'am, I have not.
And the second comment is I agree with both Tom and Robert. I'm a retired teacher. I never decided to teach just the Democratic kids or just the Republican kids and the rest go to the hallway. I go in with a heart. It doesn't have a letter on it. And this troubles me. It really does. Pete said earlier, we've got a fantastic system, and I'm concerned. I'm truly concerned about how this type of election is going to affect our system in the future. I really, really have a concern about that.
I've got a question. Thank you, Ms. Treese. If someone chooses to run as an independent, I know we have to file in that February 7th to April 7th range, but then we do not have to run in the primary. We go
Correct.
directly to the main election. So
Yes,
if
ma'am.
you choose to run as an independent,
Still pick up by February 7th.
or as I like to say, we put an E for education by our name.
Can I start that policy? Can we start that?
A party?
Political group, the e-group,
So although we registered that early, we still have to get our signatures that early. We do not have to
Yes.
be a part of the primary, and we go directly to the main.
And the reason why the independents have to pick up and turn in at the same time is because whoever the Republican and the Democrat candidates are, they deserve to know who they're running against. Okay, that's why the independents have to pick up at the same time frame. But you don't have to. You won't be on the ballot until the November election. And one more thing that I didn't tell you, and I probably need to make this clear: Washington County is on an election cycle that is different from you all. So if somebody says, oh no, you missed the pickup start date starts December 20th. Well, it does for the county, but it does not for you all. The dates I'm giving you all are for the Johnson City School Board. Okay, so if somebody gives you dates and you're like, she didn't tell us that. Those are the Washington County School Board dates, okay? Their elections are not with yours.
And just because that's not confusing enough for voters between the Johnson City and Washington County, and if you live in Johnson City, you get to vote for both Washington
Yes.
County School Board members and
Correct.
Johnson City School Board members. But the main election for the Washington County School Board members will be in August, and it'll be our primary. So there'll be
Yes.
two groups of school board members on that ballot.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just make a comment? I read that you were also going around to high schools to educate the government classes. And I just want to say thank you for that, because that's really awesome that you're doing that.
I appreciate that. And apparently they like me, so they're inviting me back. So I'm excited to go back, and I will go to any of the schools that want to hear me. And I will try to get our young people engaged and involved in voting. And we talk about local issues, just what's going on the local level. I don't do national stuff.
That's great.
Dana, I have is my microphone on? Okay, because it says it's off, so it's hot. I have a question.
Now it's up.
Now it worked. There we go. So I have a question. I picked up on something you said about they live in Washington County. So if you're interested in running for school board and you happen to live in Sullivan County portion of Johnson City or the Carter County portion of Johnson City, would they come to you or would they go to their county?
They would go to their county.
Interesting.
So if they call us, then that's what okay.
Yes,
Then we'll
please.
probably call you
Okay.
for help.
And if they call me, I have an open door policy. I will be more than happy to talk to anybody and walk them through.
Thank you.
One more point of clarification, so we also turn in our treasurer's report partway through the election. In the past, we've had to run that to the other counties. Will you take care of that for us?
Right now, that is kind of evolving.
Okay.
So as of tonight, no, ma'am. Hopefully in the future, yes. We've just gone to online campaign financing. Okay, so you don't have to run it to me at all. You can do everything online. Jason Boer in Sullivan County has done the same thing. Not sure if Carter County is doing it yet. We're hoping that they do too, but I can't speak for them. Okay, so right now you don't even have to run to my office. You sit down behind your computer and you load it up. So, and you're already there if you have a history. So you just have to add to it. So we're
Okay.
trying to make things real convenient for our people who run for office too. We're trying to bring our office into the 21st century. I will also tell you that whenever you pick up a petition at my office now, or at the Washington County Election Office to run for office. That will be on our website. Then as you move through, you return it to us. That will be noted on our website. And then when you qualify to be on the ballot, that will be on our website. So you can see who you're running against. Every day it will be uploaded between 4 and 5 p.m. Will not be uploaded on weekends. We don't work on weekends unless it's an election. But Monday through Friday, we will be keeping that up to date. So you can see who is running, for the position that you want. And you can see who else is running for people you want to vote for.
I have one last question, I think. So in summary, there could be 4 Democratic candidates, 4 Republican, and a limitless number of independents.
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
the top, well, this time it's 4. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The top 4
could be a
vote
lot.
getters.
Mr. Hager.
Is your office still on the 3rd floor?
Yes, sir, we are. We're up in the attic.
Too bad.
If you know space, we're looking.
I'd be glad to help you find somewhere. I used to work there too, not at your office, but somewhere else. You mentioned going to the 21st century.
Yes, sir.
To be a candidate for school board in the state of Tennessee, we must produce a diploma.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And I know last time there was an election in Johnson City, a lady could not find her diploma at home. And
But had already turned it in for a previous election.
And luckily, a time limit had not passed. Your office had her a copy of her diploma. I'm more inclined to think, in my case, if that happened to me, at least what we were told, your office does not keep those diplomas, a copy of them. I was wondering if there's a way that your office, and put some years on it, not 2 or 4, but maybe 6, that we don't have to produce these diplomas every time we run.
Unfortunately, all the documentation in my office is controlled by state statute. And depending on when you run, I have to shred and destroy documentations either 6 or 22 months. I'm not allowed to retain any personal information from a candidate. I'm not sure if I can do it with your permission. I can probably ask the attorneys in Nashville, but we are not allowed to keep any personal information beyond the record storage date that's set by the state.
Shame on them. And then last,
Yes, sir.
I love your scarf.
Oh, thank you. I did too.
And thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for
And
coming.
anything I said, I'll let them, anything I've said, I did not mean it personally toward you. My comments are basically, you're the messengers and you're the only one I can talk to. So I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you answering the question.
Let me thank you for your honesty and enlightening everybody about that, because those are issues that lots of times other people don't think about. And my phone line is always open. Call me anytime you guys need anything, okay? Because that's what I'm here for, the people of Washington County, all of them.
And maybe the county will get you out of the 3rd floor.
I would like that. If you have any connections, let me know.
Well, you have one vote for that.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and I'm so sorry, I didn't introduce, I have 2 election commissioners here who came with me. And if you will just allow, I should have done this first. You can tell I'm new at this. I've got Gary McAllister. He is the chairman of the Washington County Election Commission. And then we have Margaret Davis. She is the secretary of the Washington County Election Commission. I work for them, okay? She's not my secretary, I'm her secretary. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you all for being here. That brings us to reports from the superintendent and staff.
Thank you. The first report is a building projects update from Randy Trivett.
Good evening. You have included in your packet the building projects update as of November the 29th. That includes the ongoing projects that we have currently. So starting with Woodland Elementary, Woodland is actually an 8 classroom addition plus upgrades to the existing HVAC system. And it's about, I received a payout today to process, and it's probably about 52% complete on the overall project. We're striving very hard to get the 8 classrooms ready so that in January, the kids can start using those spaces to free up inside spaces for us to upgrade and renovate the HVAC system. So everything's clicking, everything's moving. We've had very good weather. I don't know if any of you have been driven by there lately, but all the exterior brick is completed. All the windows are in. We're setting exterior doors. They've got the interior rough-in plumbing, electrical, mechanical completed, ceiling grids in, some ceiling tiles are in, sprinklers are in, the paint's on the walls. So it's moving. They're installing millwork and cabinetry and those types of things in the classroom space as we speak. So all of that's moving forward. We're just, time is moving quicker than we can move sometimes. So we're doing our best and working with the principal, Dr. Reach. She's been extremely good and has been actually attending our progress meetings to see where we're at, to give us input, because that relationship is very important when you're going to be working around classrooms and kids and people and teachers that are in classrooms. So I want to commend her on helping us and scheduling and working with us to do the things that we're doing at Woodland. And it is beautiful. It's turning out. She and I walked through Friday and looked at what had already been done while the subcontractors are in there working on it. And it's going to be a very nice addition, and I get to always use my phrase, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So, but I get sometimes accused of breaking the pan too. So. Lake Ridge Elementary is a little farther behind, but it's making progress too. It's a 8 classroom, 2-story addition. And the footers are being poured. The sky bridge is what I call it. I like it. I hope you guys name it that eventually, but the sky bridge the footings are being put in. And what that is, it's a bridge that comes out of the corridor on the 2nd floor and spans the space over to the upper playground level so that it can be ADA accessible. So people can take the elevator up in the school, come straight out a corridor, go across a bridge to the playground that links into the walking trail that's up there and be able to access that upper playground. So it's really, really unique. It's going to be a great feature to the school, and it'll come out of the 2nd story of the new addition. So that's being completed. All the underground piping is being installed for the fire suppression systems and the water lines. And we've got a lot of work planned for winter break. We've been meeting a lot more regularly with the contractor and the subcontractors to get a schedule that as soon as school is out for winter break of what we're going to start setting with HVAC units, what we're going to do on the inside with some duct work. And we're going to try to capture as much work inside in that 3-week period with the holidays involved as we possibly can to get us ahead of the schedule come spring with that project. Ms. Wood has been working very well with us on meeting and coming to all of our meetings as well. You guys got some great principals. I think you know that already. So they're very involved, and with their help picking out colors and styles and how they want to see things done and making decisions, it keeps the project moving smoothly. And so I'm very appreciative for all their help. That project is going to be coming out of the ground. They're going to start laying foundation work and block here in the next couple of weeks. But then, like I said, when school's out, we're going to start setting rooftop units. We're going to start tearing out ceiling tiles and installing ductwork on the inside. That's kind of the plan. We're very careful and conscious of the fact that kids will be coming back in those spaces at a certain date. So we're very careful of trying not to bite off more than they can chew. We almost did that the first round at Woodland. We come down to the midnight hour and barely was getting things tied together before kids come back. But you work and learn lessons as you go forward with those things. Moving on to Town Acres, I have received the completed construction documents with the drawings for the screening to enclose the courtyard. We have the drawings and the specifications. I've reviewed those with the architect. We're putting all the front end documents that the city requires to go out for bid and advertise it for bid. I'm expecting it to be advertised before Christmas with bids coming back. You know, you can't really get a lot done during the holidays, so we'll probably put a date for the bids to come back in somewhere the 1st of January. I'm hoping that once we do that, we can go through the approval processes with everyone and get construction started in February sometime on that project. And it should not take very long. It's 3 areas. We're estimating the cost to be around $150,000 to $175,000 to put that screening up. So it shouldn't be very long, but it'll have a big impact, I think, on kids changing pods and changing classrooms out in that courtyard. The Science Hill High School science lab renovation, the schematic drawings are completed, and we've had the hazardous substance survey that's completed. I got an email today with what was in there that was hazardous, and it was a lot less than what we were anticipating. So we was pleasantly surprised with that. But there were still some substance that was present. So we will get a plan to abate all of that. And I'm supposed to receive the full report tomorrow. And then the hazardous surveyor is supposed to go up there Friday and get a measurement for all of the actual square footage and the locations. That project is being bid. Or not bid, but budgeted currently. We actually had all the paperwork done in such a way that we were able to reach out to a contractor, reach out to a furniture supplier, reach out to certain vendors to get them to give us a cost so that we can see what the budget's going to be on this, because this is 100% ESSER money and we have a certain limit on that. So I've got a text right before I came today from my office that said they hope to have my prices to me sometime Wednesday morning on an estimated cost, which works out very well because I'm meeting with Dr. Barnett Wednesday morning to talk about it.
I had received some concerns from the science department at Science Hill, and I passed those along to you. Are you addressing those?
Yes, ma'am. We are, and we have addressed those even at the beginning of the project. So I gathered some more information today about that email. And when I meet with Dr. Barnett, I was kind of going to go over all that with him. And then we'll make a decision if I need to reach out to that instructor or not. But yes, I've submitted that to the architects. I had them come back with me, and we talked about all those things that was addressed in that early on. And we had reasons for why we were changing and for what we were doing.
I think, especially things like science labs that you and I probably don't know a whole lot about. I think it's really important to make sure that the staff that's going to use it is included in that.
And they have been from day one. They've been involved in looking at the schematics, looking at what they want. They actually even took a tour of another school that just recently upgraded all of their science labs to gain some fresh knowledge of what that works and how it looks and how the layout goes, and they were able to get a lot of information from that. So there's been a lot of work, a lot of input from the science department and from the principal. Dr. Carter's helped a lot gathering this, and we've had numerous meetings reviewing. And then I know they've run copies and given them out to all the instructors or teachers.
Okay, thank you.
We really hope to, once we get a price, once we look at how we're going to budget this, we want to try to advertise this to bid in the January, February timeframe so that we have everything approved, everything set up, maybe even some materials ordered ahead of time, that as soon as school's out, that would be a good possibility to start, especially since we're going to be starting with demolition and hazardous abatement. So that's the target on that project. Mountain View Elementary HVAC upgrades. I do have a cost proposal from the architect and the mechanical engineer on what that's going to cost. I'm kind of reviewing it now. I've not put it on our city commission for approval yet until I sat down and talked with Dr. Barnett. We've discussed briefly over the phone that we may look at some other options there to move some funding around in order to try to cover some of these higher priority or bigger projects. So I kept that on my report because I didn't really know that when I wrote the report till afterwards. A couple other things I wanted to just briefly talk to you about is during our facilities meeting, we had a very good facilities meeting, I felt like, and we addressed a lot of concerns and a lot of issues and things going on in the school system. So I've been following up on that. One of the main ones that I wanted to brief you all on tonight is on Liberty Bell Boulevard, the installation of some flashing school zone lights. And a suggestion was made to look at doing a traffic study. Well, that traffic study is underway. They're studying, they went back and are reviewing all the accident reports that's happened in that area in between those two locations. They've also put out speed monitoring, and they've put out volume or traffic count module monitoring. And so they're gathering all that data currently. And they told me the report should be completed in about 2 weeks of how much volume's going down that road, what the speeds are, what the average speeds are that's taken place through there, the number of accidents, what contributed to the accident. Was it speed? Was it distraction? Whatever that may come out. And so they're going to compile all that into a report and then come up with some recommendations, maybe on top of putting flashing school zone signs as well. So I think what's being done currently is kind of addressing the concern and the issue with the traffic pulling out at the intersection of the Cotty Jones Road and Liberty Bell Boulevard. So they're looking and evaluating all those areas now. And they told me they would have me something in a couple of weeks. Then the other thing was the traffic light that you were so interested in.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to start that process again.
Just for everyone, traffic light at Indian Trail.
At Indian Trail, I'm sorry, at Indian Trail. They're going to start that process again. I would recommend you all reach out to your representatives from the state to work with TDOT, and we'll go at it at both angles, with safety being the concern because of pulling out into a heavily traveled road. I was told that the times before, 2 or 3 times before, that it's been turned down is because there's not enough traffic throughout the whole day coming out of there, except for like an hour of the morning and an hour of the evening. And they could not justify putting a signal up for 2 hours out of the whole day. So I think the best approach would be to approach it from a safety standpoint. Because even if there's an hour and there's a safety risk involved, they need to consider that. I would also recommend that when you talk to your elected officials, get them to set up a meeting with TDOT's commissioner, with you, and make that trip to Nashville, because hearing it from you is going to be a lot more important than hearing it from someone else. And I'm saying that from the voice of experience. When I was city administrator in Irwin, we had a railroad train that blocked the road for hours upon hours. And for 20 years, they complained about it, and nothing ever happened until I started getting my elected representatives to set up meetings, and I would go down saying that was the only way our fire trucks could get from the fire department to manufacturing plants. And it became a safety issue. WJHL did a news story on it with that exact same thing. Once that happened, it changed, and you can drive to Irwin now and see a $9.5 million railroad overpass. So those things work, but they want to hear it from you. It's too easy for them to tell the elected officials or the representatives, just go back and tell them, I said no, that we just can't do it. But it's harder for them to tell you no.
Thank you for that.
I'm sharing my secrets.
Thank you for that advice and
I'm
your
sharing my
secret
secrets
sauce
in a
for
public forum here. So, but I think that will work.
All
And
right.
anything I can do to help you all, I will. We do have the Johnson City Traffic Division starting that process too, through their channels as well, with their local contacts, so they can see what can be done as well. So I've got that started.
I appreciate that.
Can I just say thank you too? Because I know a lot of people are concerned about that. So
Okay.
it's a big deal.
Yes. And I think that's all I had. Does anybody have any questions?
The
Or do you-
school zone caution light at the top of the hill when you're approaching Indian Trail School. Any chance we can?
Yes, sir.
If they say anything about maybe moving that back over?
I
the bridge a
asked
little
them
bit?
to look at moving that, and they are going to look to see if they can move it to the top of the hill so that you can see it as you're coming up, to know that you're going in
Okay.
before you do it. His comment back to me was there's a TDOT road standard that those things have to be within a certain distance from the school or in that school area. And he said that's what they have to check to see if there's a possibility of them moving that. But if we can, they're going to look at trying to do that as well.
Thank you.
But Mr. Trivett, if it's not within that, do you have the same advice? Because that is a unique, because you top the hill and you don't realize that's
That
a
is
school
correct.
zone unless you're familiar. So do you have the same suggestion if we get a no for that as well, just to talk to the representatives? And
I think
TDOT?
so, but that's a local decision. So if it can be within the code or the standard that's required, then our local folks can do that.
So that's not at a state level. That
That
could
is
just be
not-
local.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the standard is a state standard.
The standard is a state standard, and it is a state right of way. So that's why you need to go through the state on the traffic signal. But putting up school zone signs would be a local traffic level.
And I know there's some places, I think ETSU has one where the red light at is it University Parkway and Southwestern? There is almost like a pre-red light if you're coming from that end of University, where when you're turning that curve, there's a light that lets you know this light is yellow, this light is green, it's red, before you get to that light.
That's
So-
true. And
is
coming
that
from
something-
Jonesboro into that Walmart,
Exactly.
there's another warning that there's a traffic light. So that might be something you could do
Right.
to warn people ahead of time that there's a school zone
Mhm.
approaching or something too. So I will question or bring up all those comments to them to see, if there's a workaround or a roundabout if it doesn't meet the distance requirements.
Any other questions?
Thank you as always for being here.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Next report is the financial report ending October 31st, 2021, Leah Valley.
Revenues for the month of October totaled $6,237,000. Total revenues at the end of October for the year were $21,850,000. Revenues are 6.7% above the previous year. Sales tax revenues were 20.3% the previous year. The reason total revenues is less is because we've not brought in the same amount of property tax as we had at this point last year. Sales tax revenues should continue to come in high, above last year. We've seen a slight decrease in the growth, but they still are quite a bit significantly above the previous year. Expenditures for the month of October totaled $6,733,000. Total expenditures for the year through October were $22,531,000 and were 1.5% below the previous year. No funds were transferred to the health insurance fund in October or November. The fund balance as of October 31st was $9,528,000, and currently our bank account has a balance of approximately $8 million. In November, the health insurance fund received a quarterly prescription rebate. Based on the claims that we're seeing weekly, we anticipate there'll be funds available from the health insurance fund to transfer back to the general purpose school fund once all claims have been finalized. Overall, I think we're in a really good position with the savings on the health insurance and the continued growth on the sales tax.
Any questions? This is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll make a motion to approve as, or a second.
Mr. Hager is the motion. Mr. Williams is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay.
Next report is update on sales tax and PEP.
As of October 31st, the PEP account should have had a balance of $6,654,000. It was short the city sales tax deposit for the month of October, but that's because they received their check late from the county, and so it was transferred in the early November. Through October, the sales tax receipts in the PEP fund has seen an increase of 17% over the previous year. Are there any questions?
No questions. Last report from Leah, excuse me, yes. Last one is internal school funds audit. You have a copy up here to review.
For 2020-2021, our schools collected $1,513,675. There are a couple numbers that are incorrect when I was back reviewing over the summary. The total expended should say $1,359,809, and the beginning fund balance should be $1,247,837. At the end of the year, our schools combined had a fund balance of $1,401,703 and saw an increase of fund balance of approximately $154,000. The primary reason of such a large increase this past year was just due to the nature of last year. There was a lot of activities they probably would have normally had, like field trips, they didn't. Usually you want to see the approximately the same amount you collected the year go out, so it's spent on those students, but that's why we saw such an increase. During the audit, there was 2 significant deficiencies noted, but no material weaknesses, and corrective action plans have been included in your information for those 2. 9 of the 11 schools had no findings for 2021. Overall, I think the audit went really well. Our bookkeepers did a great job. We've actually had 4 new ones come in the spring, so they're getting settled in, and we're having one getting ready to retire this month at Mountain View. So she'll be missed. She's had quite a few years of no findings. So,
any questions?
Congratulations to the no findings.
Congratulations to all of our bookkeepers. They do a great job with a lot of different things coming at them.
There was a question about the way we budget, the way we look at things like bonuses as a system. That process for the 2022-23 school year budget will start in January. And I've had a couple of questions about bonus, that sort of thing. If you'd like to kind of give us a little bit of an update on that.
okay. Well, we do have a finance committee meeting scheduled in January. We'll put that on the agenda.
So, last year the board was able to do that. But I think we want to see how the sales tax continue to come in and get with the finance committee and really look at that and the overall budget as we move into the spring and into the next school year. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this an action item?
I think
can't-
you do have to
Okay.
approve it.
I don't think it has to be roll call, though.
I don't
We'll do it we'll just do it just in case. So that is our audit. Is there a motion to approve?
And I'll second.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote on that.
Mr. Robert Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Ginger Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Herb Greenlee,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas Hager,
Yes.
Ms. Kathy Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Beth Simpson,
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Tree,
Yes.
and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next report is from Dr. excuse me, that's a slip, Dr. Josh Simmons, Blue Ribbon School Principal. Welcome to the meeting. Dr. Josh Carter, Principal at Science Hill. We're going to talk about
And
Science
also
Hill
PTA dad.
and PTA dad extraordinaire. We want to, he has a proposal for graduation. You know, graduation last year we had on a Friday night. Weather was great, but we had some student athletes who were not able to attend graduation. So the high schools worked on this, the budget, and if you'll walk us through some of the questions, but you have the recommendation in front of you, and that's for Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, 10 a.m. The recommendation would be at Kermit Tipton Stadium. We had originally looked at the mini dome on ETSU's campus, but that became cost prohibitive. We have to provide our own sound, and that's got really a lot more expensive than I ever dreamed it would be. It got really expensive. So our proposal would be Kermit Tipton Stadium, 10 a.m. on Saturday, May 28th. The nice thing about that is we wouldn't have to ticket the event. We'd have plenty of seats for however many people would want to be there. We'll have it live streamed. Milligan University, who does a lot of our sporting events and some other things for us, they'll live stream the event for us in case anybody can't be there. And we'll have a weather plan, which will be inside Freedom Hall, same date, same time, which I think would be convenient. You know, if you don't know if it's inside or outside, show up at the same time and go where everybody else is going, and that's where graduation will be. If we do it in Freedom Hall, we will have to ticket it. And right now, based on the number of graduates we have right now, that would be 9 tickets per senior, with about 230 left over that we could manage for those students that might need more than 9. I think you also have a few pages with some cost for Freedom Hall and Kermit Tipton. We included all the things in there about diplomas and mailings and all those kind of things that we do. And just so you know, at ETSU, that was going to cost us about 150% more than that. So,
Yeah, it's nice with ETSU. They don't charge us really,
no,
but it's just the expense. It's a great place to have graduation. It's indoors, all those things, but the cost was really prohibitive.
And it was really the sound.
That's what it came down to, the
and,
sound.
and
right.
live casting it that really added to that. I know that in the past when we've looked at outdoor graduation, they moved it to 9 a.m. just to keep, you're comfortable with 10 o'clock?
I think so. We could certainly look at 9 a.m. Yeah. We could certainly look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's up to you. I think whatever works best for you. I just remember that being part of it to kind of
With the heat,
with the heat.
potentially.
And it
Yeah.
was hot.
Yeah.
And that's one of
Yeah.
those things we'll have to look at on Wednesday. And if it's going to rain, we just have to make the call, and it may not rain. You know, if it's forecasted to rain and we make the change, then our maintenance department, who does a fabulous job, will have to go in and set everything up, get it ready. So if it's going to be a really nice Saturday morning and clear, then we can do the stadium. But if there's going to be a chance of rain the night before or the day of, it's just better to move it to indoors. And it's a large space. I mean, how many, even though we can't use all the seating at Freedom Hall, it's still 5,400.
I believe that's correct.
That's right.
Yeah. And with the Wednesday weather call, we'll set up 2 large areas where we can seat all the seniors to stage them. So, we'll have 1,000 chairs that for a graduation, 500 for the staging, then 500 for the actual event. It's hard to get 1,500 to have all three places set up. So that's why we'd want to make a weather call on Wednesday. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Carter.
We have no unfinished business on our agenda. That brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone wishes to pull? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? That brings us to a recommendation from the superintendent for action.
I have the following policies for approval on first reading. Policies in Section 1, School Board Operations, Section 3, Support Services, and Section 4, Instructional Programs.
I believe we've decided you don't have to read all the numbers.
Okay.
Lee says okay, because, it's just a list of numbers.
They are listed in your packet very clearly. So,
All right. Is there a motion to approve the policies on first reading? That's the word. Okay. Is there a second? Is there any discussion on any of these? All right, hearing none, we'll vote on these on first reading, and we'll have second reading next month. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Dr. Barnett. That brings us to new business. We have our board committee assignments on the agenda. I would ask that you look at what you've been on. If you want to make any changes, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just stay where we are. So just let actually Miranda or me know if you want to make any changes to your assignments. That brings us to collaborative conferencing, initiating our collaborative conferencing. Ms. Pierce?
You should have a letter in your packet from the JCEA, and the letter is to begin the process to engage in a new MOU that we create. And since there's some new members, I didn't know if I should go through the process.
Just not in great detail, but I think.
Of course, you all have to vote. What's called is, this is called a special questioning committee. And what we have to have before we even start this is there has to be 15% of the staff's signatures that want to go into this process. And Mr. Crabtree and the JCEA already did that and submitted them to us. Then they sent the letter to you guys requesting us to open up the MOU. You have to vote to hold a special session to determine whether we're going to engage or not. They have asked for Joe Crabtree, LaDawn Hutchins, and Becky Saunders to be the representatives for the special questioning committee. I'll be on the side of the management team. We'll just need two of you guys to participate as well. We want to hold the election in December. It will be 3 days. We take ballot boxes to the schools. They're in a secure place. The certified staff will vote their ballots for them in a sign-in sheet so they know who they are and who's eligible. They'll drop the votes whether, yes, we want to continue the collaborative conference and develop the MOU, or no, we don't. Then we will gather both teams together and count those votes to determine whether we're going to do that. We want to make sure we do this so we can start conferencing in the spring. The MOU goes through 22 of November, but it's a pretty lengthy process, and we meet and we want to make sure that we have everything in place to start that after the new year.
Any questions? So our vote is to
open up collaborative conferencing.
Collaborate with a special session.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the questioning committee, and there will need to be two of you guys that you decide to be on that.
And
with
you don't
me.
have a date for that yet.
Well, yes, the election. I mean, the boxes are going to be in the schools from December 14th through the 16th, and we'll count the votes the night at 4 o'clock on the 16th, right before break. That's what we'd like to do. And the boxes are ready to go. Mr. Crabtree's given me the ballots. We have the sheets. Everything's ready. if you guys vote yes, then we'll start that process next week.
I've served in the past and I can serve that day.
Okay.
Anyone?
I would like to serve on that. Is that, when you say 2 people from the board?
They have 3 and we usually have 3, just so we have 3 from each side to count the votes.
Yeah, we just count and tabulate and.
Yes. It'd be great. And I'll send out a memo if you all vote for this, just to explain the steps that we're going to do. So we all agree before we send it to the teachers next week.
Okay. Is there a motion to open collaborative conferencing?
I motion to open collaborative conference.
I'll second.
Second, okay. Any discussion?
Mr. Crabbe, did I miss anything? Okay.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our board goals, our 5-year plan. Dr. Anderson, are you doing anything for this?
No, I would be happy to facilitate the discussion.
I'm not sure how much we need. We met in a rather long meeting and discussed our goals, looked at our last 5-year plan, and then established some initial goals for the 5-year planning process. And they are on the screen. Perhaps we should, do you want to read them, Mo?
Certainly, I would be happy to. Would you like me to read this entire?
No, I
screen?
think we can just read the 5 goals
Okay.
that we as a board came up with.
Okay. And those 5 goals actually correspond to 5 different buckets or topics or general topics. The first one is an achievement goal, advance student achievement, participation, and support. The second goal is a human resources goal, recruit, support, and retain a high-quality workforce. The third goal deals with wellness and safety, promote physical, social, and mental wellness. The fourth goal is a community engagement goal, strengthen stakeholder communication and community connections. And the fifth and last goal is an infrastructure goal. And the goal states, create and enhance safe, effective learning environments. So there are many, as you read through these goals, there are many areas that you all have been dealing with over the last 5 years. The current 5-year plan that you're under, but they have been, I think, sort of repurposed in such a way that some areas now I think are more highlighted for the next 5 years, because I think there was a discussion that many areas of this last 5-year goal have been realized. I mean, that you all have really used that document as a roadmap for the allocation of resources, and now it's time to sort of rethink where you would like to take our school system over the next 5 years. So it's great discussion.
It was a great discussion, and I think everyone contributed a lot to that. We have these 5 goals. Now we go to a subcommittee. We gather a lot of people that want to be involved in this. We formed some subcommittees. There is a way on our website, if you are interested in being on one of these subcommittees, to ask to be on one of the subcommittees. And I encourage anyone that wants to do that before December 20th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we have these goals, but there's going to be a lot of objectives underneath those, and we have some suggestions that came up at our meeting, but I'm sure that each committee will have more. So strategies to reach those objectives, and then measures. How do we measure and make sure we're doing that? So this is a big project for a lot of people, and we'll have teachers, we'll have students, we'll have parents, we'll have community members, and we'll have board members and administrators on each one of these each one of the 5 subcommittees.
That's correct. And in closing, as far as my time up here, I would just ask if we could sort of, can we scroll back to the timeline? Because I do think it's important as we talk about participating, and we want as many and a varied group of stakeholders to participate. You know, sometimes I think people are a little hesitant because they fear that they may be making a long-term commitment for months and months of meetings. And if you look at that timeline, it's pretty brisk. So we sort of march along, and I think that's great. I think we get a lot of people together. You know, we work well together. We talk about it, but we go ahead and make the recommendations to you and refine this report. Report will be given to you in May. You will take board action on it in June. And then as of July the 1st, we will be in a new planning cycle with a new 5-year goal, with new 5-year goals.
The commitment for as a subcommittee member is generally about 3 or 4 meetings.
That's correct. Yes.
So our job tonight is to look at those goals again. Can you bring them up again, Colin? And make sure we all still feel good about those, and then vote to approve those and move forward with a 5-year plan. Is there a motion to approve those goals?
I'll move to approve the goals.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Any words we want to change? We hammered those out pretty well, I think. Hearing none. Let's just do a roll call vote to show our support for this.
Mr. Robert Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Ginger Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Herb Finley?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas Rager?
Yes.
Ms. Kathy Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Beth Simpson?
Yes.
Ms. Michelle Treese?
Yes. All right. Thank you. Now we move forward. And I appreciate the way we all work together on that. Next on our agenda is any communication follow-up from this meeting. What do we need to communicate? I think our 5-year plan, we've done a good job communicating that.
I do have a question. I think I'd ask Colin, the application, all that's resolved. It's good online.
And we've had 26 submitted so far.
Okay.
So it'll close December 20th at 3 p.m.
Okay, great. And that's on Facebook,
Yeah, it's on social
website.
media. It's on all school websites, just under news and announcements. It's got a box.
Thank you.
So if you're looking to participate, you look under news and announcements on any of your school websites or the general Johnson City Schools website, and there's a form you can fill out online. All right. That brings us to information items and committee reports. Thank you, everyone, for being here. You're welcome to stay for this thrilling part of the meeting, but you're also welcome to go.